Have you ever noticed how the most exquisite desserts always seem impossible? As if there's magic behind them, the secret of a French pastry chef, and a whole army of miniature spoons. But here's the secret. Sometimes a cafe masterpiece is just 3 ingredients and a little imagination. Imagine, you're standing in your kitchen. On the table is a bowl, chocolate, cream, fruit, and berries. And now, in just a few minutes, all of this will turn into something that would cost 5 times as much on an expensive restaurant menu. That's the magic of home cooking. Simple, authentic. Today I'll give you 5 simple desserts that look like they came from an expensive cafe. Minimum effort, maximum wow factor. And yes, they're absolutely doable even on a weeknight after work. Let's imagine this dessert. A thick velvety chocolate mousse in a small glass. There's a light foam of cream on the surface, and a grain of sea salt on top. And all this is done in 10 minutes. This dessert was born by accident. According to one version, in 1820, French artist Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec tried making hot chocolate, but added too much cream, covered it with a lid, became distracted, and forgot about it for a while. A couple of hours later, remembering, he opened the pot and realized a miracle had occurred. The chocolate had hardened into a delicate mousse. From that moment on, France acquired one of its sweet treasures. The recipe is simple. Full-fat milk cream 120 grams. Milk chocolate 70 grams. Powdered sugar 10 grams. Cocoa powder and chocolate shavings for serving. Melt the chocolate to 40 degrees Celsius. Whip the cold cream and powdered sugar until stiff. Mix the 2 mixtures, pour into clear glasses, and refrigerate for 2 to 3 hours. Sprinkle with cocoa. Add a pinch of coarse salt, and serve garnished with chocolate. Looks expensive. Costs as much as a chocolate bar. And the pleasure is simply royal. And now for a dessert that makes you feel like you're on vacation. Berry parfait is like an edible watercolor. Layers of color, flavor, and delicious texture. It looks like it took 3 hours to make. In reality, it's ready in just 10 minutes. The secret is in the layers. Here's the recipe, save it and make it. Berries 100 grams. 33% cream 150 grams. Greek yogurt 60 grams. Powdered sugar 10 grams. Half a lemon and its zest. Whip the cream with powdered sugar until stiff peaks form. Add the yogurt and lime juice and whisk again. Set aside a few berries for garnish. Mash the remaining berries with a fork. If they're too tart, add a little powdered sugar. Layer the dessert in a bowl. First a layer of cream, then a layer of berries, and so on for several layers. And finish it all off with a bright touch, fresh raspberries and a mint leaf. Serve in clear glasses. The key is to take your time. Let the dessert's aesthetics be as beautiful as a morning in the south of France. Beautiful presentation is half the taste. Fun fact: the first parfaits were made not with cream, but with fruit puree and ice. It was an aristocratic way to avoid sweating in the summer heat. So when you eat a parfait, you're essentially participating in an ancient French tradition of delicious cooling. Enjoy this dessert any time of year. There are sounds that make life better. The rustle of book pages. The crackle of wood in the fireplace. And the crunch of the thin caramel crust of crème brûlée. Every time you break that caramel dome with a spoon, somewhere in France a chef smiles. After all, this sound is the most coveted by gourmets. Because crème brûlée is more than just a dessert. It's an act of aesthetic pleasure. It's easier to make than it sounds. Here's the recipe, save it and enjoy. 400 milliliters of 33% milk cream. For egg yolks, 70 grams of sugar. Vanilla sugar to taste. 2 or 3 tablespoons of brown sugar for the crust. Take the cream and heat it to 80 degrees Celsius with 1 tablespoon of sugar until steaming. In a separate bowl, add the egg yolks, remaining sugar, and vanilla sugar. Mix all ingredients until smooth. Pour the hot cream into the eggs in a thin stream and mix again until smooth. Now pour the mixture into oven-proof molds and bake in a double boiler at 100 to 110 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. Let the dessert cool. Then refrigerate for 4 hours. Then sprinkle it with brown sugar and using a blowtorch, create a crust on top. Voila! The crispy crust of a fragrant masterpiece is ready. Now you have the most caramel-like sound and magical dessert at home, the kind you'd pay big bucks for at a restaurant. Enjoy this wonderful moment. Lemon tart is a mood, not just a pie. It smells like spring sundae and dreams. When the first lemon tart appeared in Europe, it was considered a cure for melancholy. And you know, lemon really does boost serotonin levels. So you can consider this dessert an edible antidepressant. In 19th century England, aristocrats adored this dessert for its exotic flavor. At that time, lemons were considered an exotic fruit and hard to come by. The sweet and sour taste of the citrus fruit gave the pastry a special chic, making it a dessert for special occasions. Only true masters of their craft, masters of all the intricacies of pastry, could prepare lemon tart, making it a status dessert for the aristocracy. Connoisseurs prize such exquisite and beautifully presented dishes, especially at social balls. At that time, this dessert became a symbol of expensive receptions in the highest circles. Now try this delicious flavor and feel like part of the aristocratic elite. However, it must be said that it was the Americans who popularized lemon meringue tart. In 1806, Elizabeth Goodfellow, owner of a famous pastry shop in Philadelphia, came up with the idea of using leftover egg whites to make a fluffy meringue topping for lemon tart. Thus, this dessert became a classic. Here's the recipe, save it. For the dough, mix together. For the tart base, combine all ingredients in a bowl. Knead the dough. Form the dough into a ball, wrap it in plastic wrap, and refrigerate for 30 minutes. Then roll the chilled dough between 2 sheets of parchment paper until it's about 4 millimeters thick. Place the rolled dough in a baking pan. Carefully trim off any excess dough around the edges with a knife. Prick the dough with a fork and bake for 15 to 20 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. Let it cool completely. Preparing the cream curd. Soak the gelatin in 35 milliliters of water and leave it to swell. 200 milliliters of lemon juice. In a bowl, combine 4 eggs, 2 yolks and 120 grams of sugar. Mix with a whisk. Heat the lemon juice in a saucepan over medium heat until it begins to steam slightly. Pour the hot lemon juice in a thin stream into the egg-sugar mixture, whisking until smooth. Pour the mixture back into the saucepan and cook, stirring constantly, until it boils and becomes like thick sour cream. Remove from heat and add the softened gelatin. Whisk well until the gelatin dissolves. Add 125 grams of butter, and whisk again until completely dissolved. Cover the curd with plastic wrap and let it cool to room temperature. Fill the baked dough with lemon curd and refrigerate again for 20 minutes. Make the meringue. Mix 4 egg whites with 250 grams of sugar and place in a double boiler. Bring the mixture to a temperature of 50 to 55 degrees Celsius, stirring constantly. Preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Remove the bowl with the meringue from the steamer and beat with a mixer for 10 minutes. Place the meringue on top of the curd and bake the tart in the preheated oven for another 5 minutes, until slightly darkened, and watch to make sure the meringue doesn't burn. A little tip: add a little zest on top, and serve with a cup of green tea. It's a wonderful flavor combination. And finally, a dessert that sounds like a declaration of love. Tiramisu. Legend has it that it was invented by a young, amorous chef who wanted to lift my spirits for his beloved. Actually, that's exactly how it translates. Tiramisu, lift me up. This dessert is like first love, light, airy, and slightly intoxicating. Take Savoyardi cookies and dip them in strong coffee.
Wow!
Then whip heavy cream with mascarpone. Add a little powdered sugar. And layer the soaked cookies in cream. Dust with cocoa powder. Let it sit in the refrigerator for 2 hours. And when you try this dessert, the world around you will stand still for a second. Fun fact: authentic Italian tiramisu was first served in 1960 at the small Café Le Becchery. And since then, this dessert has become a symbol of romance, love, and a touch of laziness. A case where doing nothing is an art. So 5 desserts, 5 stories, 5 ways to feel like a chef. Even if all you have in your kitchen is a whisk, a few ingredients, and your imagination, you're not just cooking sweets, you're creating a mood. A taste that takes you back to childhood, or youth, or the best romantic times of your life. Simple sweets that transform an ordinary evening into a cozy miracle. After all, every homemade dessert contains the most important thing: soul. And when you serve something handmade, you share a little piece of warmth. Because the cafe of your dreams isn't somewhere on the corner of town. It's right here in your home, in your kitchen. All you have to do is open it and want to, and add a pinch of inspiration.